2 A and B. Probably no one's even started that. But it'll be coming. Okay, the question is, do you need to download Git if you have terminal on Mac? So one of the ways to use, so Git is software that runs on your computer, and also it's sort of a client-server thing. You can, as the homework assignment says, one way to do it is to log in, and we use the term in the homework SSH, but I don't know if that's the only technology. Log into a computer, probably a lab computer, but it could be something else, that has Git running on it, and do it that way. So if terminal will do that for you, then you can just use terminal. Is that what terminal does? Does terminal allow you to log onto other computers? If Mac comes installed with Git, then you're good. Use that. What am I putting? So the Dropbox for homework 2. I'll tell you why I haven't put it up yet. I have this well-founded dislike for having multiple Dropboxes up at the same time for the same class. Sometimes I have to do it, but I don't like doing it because a certain number of students put their homeworks in the wrong Dropbox. So I try to not have them overlap, but I may have to do that for us. And homework 2 will have parts A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. I don't know how far we'll go. Not that I hope. So there will be some overlap with other things. Anyway, so I'll do it soon. Yeah.
For the part 2A, where you want us to put in the command get help, do you want it just like us typing get help, then it lists all the different verbs that you can type in, or do you want us to put in a verb and that leads us to the website?
Okay, so the question was, in part 1A, you type in get help, and I think the assignment says just type in get help, right?
All right.
So that's all I want you to do. That's all I want you to do, and take a screen print and upload it. I would encourage you to get help for all the verbs. Maybe not all of them. I mean, the point isn't to memorize the 20 or 30 options. That's kind of overwhelming. But the real point was just to demonstrate I can run Git. So we just said get help rather than anything else. And as you saw, probably 2B is a lot more detailed, but we don't want anyone jumping into 2B without having Git installed. Is there another question? Okay, I think that concludes kind of old business for now. And so I want to go into kind of new business, but we'll actually, meaning more lecturing about software engineering topics and less course management topics. But I'm straight out of week 1, I want to sort of go back up to the high level. We're talking, it's easy to get lost in the details of how many pages for this homework, and how do I do this, and what's a layered model and stuff like that. So I wanted us to get back for a moment to the big picture, okay? What is software engineering? And what are we trying to do, and what's this course all about? And I gave you this slide in week 1, but probably in week 5. Maybe it makes more sense. Maybe not, maybe it makes less sense. So, for the purposes of this course, I'm focusing on 3 things. The process of constructing software. In other words, we're not just looking at software as an object. Oh, here's, like we put at a pen. Here's a pen. Here's what it does. We're saying, how do pens get made? How do people design new pens? Well, how do we make sure a pen is a good pen? Things like that. So that's the process. The process involves several things, including programming. I'm going to focus on the non-programming parts in this course. We've talked a lot about requirements, and you're in the middle of a homework about requirements. The programming part is very, very important, but other courses cover that sufficiently, or at least in more detail. So we don't do programming. And then principles and qualities of enduring value, and won't have much more to say about that right now, but I'll come back to that. And then a few other things of less importance, but we'll have some readings, and we'll talk about some of these things too. We can't do everything. Okay, so that's the big picture. And for the rest of today, and probably Thursday, I want to talk about the process of constructing software. And here's that model word again. Mostly what I'm going to do is talk about software process models. So the software process is a bunch of people doing things, and maybe not just people, but a bunch of things happening. And a model is a simplified version of that. And there are several models that people have identified or written about. We'll talk about some of them, just like there are architectural models. So when I talk about architectural models, those are different than software process models. Confusingly similar, but they're different. But the term model in both cases means we've simplified, we've tried to abstract away some of the details and focus on just what's important. Okay? There's also a term that comes up sometimes, the software life cycle, and you'll hear this term used maybe in some readings or whatever. And this is sometimes used for the same idea of software process model. The life cycle is sort of, the cycle part is sort of the idea that software is designed, it's built, it's deployed to users, and then that happens again. Maybe because we have multiple versions, we say, oh, now we have to design version 1, or now we have to design the French version, or now we have to make a free version, or something like that. So the notion of figuring out what you want the software to be, building it, releasing it to users, maybe integrating it with other software, and then repeating that. That cycle is kind of the life of software. So you'll see that term used. But let's, since most of you have not been involved in many software development projects, I just want to reason by analogy for a minute with something that I suspect many of you have done multiple times, which is eat at a restaurant. How many of you have eaten at a restaurant? No? A few people say no, never have. You've probably seen it on TV, so you know that. So I'm going to model the process of eating at a restaurant. Model means simplified version. Okay? It means I know I'm leaving things out. For right now, I'm going to just have 4 things. When you go to a restaurant and eat, these 4 things happen. And I've just listed them in alphabetical order. You eat at the restaurant, you pay, you select what you want to eat, or choose, and you're served. You do not eat right off the stove in the back, right? So somehow the food gets from the cook to you, to your mouth. Okay? So does everyone agree? Everyone's been sort of seeing those things happen? Do other things happen at restaurants as well? Sure. But I've chosen 4. These may or may not be the 4 you would choose, but let's stick with these 4 for a second. So here's my question. In what order do these occur? Oops. Okay. So what I'd like someone to volunteer is, so I've written the 4 things on top, is a restaurant that you've been to in the last week or 2 or 3, and what order you did those things at that restaurant. Anyone here eaten at a restaurant recently? Okay.
You select, then get
What's the restaurant?
KG Schmitz.
Say it again?
Schmitz.
Schmitz? Has a lot of vowels in it, right? I mean, a lot of consonants? Is that right?
I think so.
Close enough. Okay, let's not worry about the type. What order did you do these things in?
Select, serve, eat, and pay.
Has anyone else been, good, thank you. Has anyone else been to a restaurant in which you were similar, at least, I mean, the food may have been different, but the same order? How would we characterize those restaurants that are like that? What type of restaurants? Sit down? Table service? Okay, good. But there are other alternatives, right? What else? Has anyone been in a restaurant which wasn't like those? Yeah.
In and out.
In and out. Is that right? Who cares? Anyway. And what order does things happen there?
Select, pay, serve, eat.
And what type of restaurant is that?
Good.
It's a fast food restaurant, right? Is it the same McDonald's and Burger King and,
Better.
no, I don't, we're not talking about the quality of the food, we're talking about the process of things, just using these four. We're not gonna try and get into who likes what food better. Yeah, what's another alternative?
Something like Chipotle where you actually go with the food and tell them how to make it.
So Chipotle, the selection process is a little bit different, right? Because you're saying more of that, less of that, none of that. Or Subway is like that too, kind of, right? But is it still the same that you select, and then you pay, and then serve is a little bit different because you serve yourself, right? I mean, you take the tray over. But I would say Chipotle is basically the same. There are many versions there are many variations of each of these select, save, serve, and pay. But let's just keep to this level of abstraction. How about something completely, a different ordering?
Yeah.
Hometown buffet.